work I did with the cadets provided such incredible balance for the shit I was getting from others. I loved being in uniform, even though in those days it was that terrible, horrible bus driver green. And I was Navy, so, you know, I wanted to wear elementals, but it wasn't possible. And I was really glad actually when I moved to Ontario and we had shifted back into elementals, and it was the first time, like in 1992, when I was able to wear like a Navy uniform, because it was really important to me because my dad was Navy. And like one of my favorite pictures is about 1995. I went to visit him and brought my uniform, and my mom took a picture of the pair of us in uniform together, and it's the only picture I have of the two of us in uniform together. So I would put on my uniform and I would feel like all of the doubt and shame and confusion and all of it that I had grown up with, that I still wrestle with, it just dropped away. I never hid being queer, but I remember in the early days I was being really quiet about it, because I knew it would be a problem. I mean, I came out in Newfoundland. I was raised Catholic. I knew what kind of a problem it could be. I had friends who lived in absolute fear that they'd be found out and lose their jobs. So it was pretty quiet about it the first, I don't know, 5 years or so. But it became known pretty quick. I mean, when you look like a duck and you walk like a duck, chances are you're a duck, right? I guess, you know, I had senior officers who attempted to convince me that they could keep me off that path. The one that stands out most was a lieutenant commander who had been actually the commander of my cadet corps when I was a cadet. And we had been spending, you know, as you do in the military, time in the officers' mess, and had a few drinks, had more than a few drinks. He said, yeah, come on over to I've got this suite, come on over and we'll have a couple of drinks in private. And so we did. And he started hitting on me, and he said, because I was also, you know, struggling at that point between whether or not I had a vocation to religious life and whether or not I was queer. I'd pretty much come to the conclusion that I was definitely queer and that the religious life was not for me. And so this guy says, you know, you don't have to go down that road. And I said, pardon? He says, I could help you out. I'd be real gentle. It would be good for you to have a real man. Some of the worst bullying that I experienced was at the hands of other queers in the military. You know, at one point, I was working with cadets who were in a 6-week leadership program, and they started circulating a rumor that the kids shouldn't be alone with me because I was queer, because I was dangerous. When I moved to Ontario, I began getting postings at HMCS Ontario, which is out of RMC in Kingston. And, you know, I'd started off kind of doing the same sort of stuff I was doing as a junior officer, right? They were trying to get to know me a little bit. But the second summer before my career ended, I think it was 95. The dates are a little bit fuzzy. I was working as a senior security officer. I was responsible for all of the security of the establishment, physical, everything. I had a significantly sized staff, which were a mix of CIC officers and also some civilian instructors. I had one civilian instructor who was particularly problematic. I don't know if he thought he was G.I. Joe or Rambo or what the hell. Anyway, I had to counsel him for some inappropriate behavior and things that he was doing, and the commanding officer backed me up. Commanding officer gave him a choice between changing his attitude or he could leave. And the commanding officer at that time was a guy who he'd been in the reserves forever in his civilian life. He was a police officer. He knew his shit. So this guy leaves. He then files a complaint of abuse of authority against both myself and the commanding officer. This guy's girlfriend had been a friend of mine since she was a cadet. She was now an officer, and we were farting around in the barracks, in the officers' barracks. People joking, laughing, carrying on. Anyway, we were, poking at one, whatever the hell we were doing. I didn't think anything of it. Next thing I know, I have allegations of sexual assault based on my interactions with this young woman. And this is somebody that I continuously had conversations with about, you're okay with me being gay, right? You would tell me if there was an issue. Absolutely, absolutely. Why would I have an issue with you being gay? And then I get this, you sexually assaulted me. I'm a sexual assault survivor. I'm the last person in the world who's going to sexually assault anybody. Of course, they found there was no sexual assault, but I was issued a report of shortcomings. And then because of the time that this took, I applied for the same position as I'd had the previous summer, and was hired in a subordinate position. So I was hired I was under the supervision of a junior officer who had been my employee the year before. So I fought for 2 years to clear my name because that was important to me, because I had always served with integrity. I wasn't there to make a kingdom or a name for myself. I was there because I loved working with the cadets. I loved it. I was good at it. By then I was damaged goods. I couldn't be there anymore, so I had to leave, and so I retired. And immediately had a huge identity crisis. I also got incredibly physically sick, so IBS responds to stress, right? So my digestive system essentially shut down. I was probably within a couple of weeks of becoming septic. And what saved my life was this, my culture, and the elders who supported me. My last year in Ontario, there's a military tradition where they will give you a mug, a pewter mug, with the crest of the establishment and your name and rank, and usually people get something engraved on the back of it. And I remember the supply officer, was this crusty old British guy, and he said, "What do you want on your mug, Dopler?" I said, "Man, I don't know. I'm so worn out. I'm so worn down." "I know exactly what to put on there, Dopler. Illegitimi non carborundum. Don't let the bastards wear you down." I'm still here. There were good people. Commander Transky, Rob Tucker, my wife, the woman who became my wife, those elders. There are good people who stand up, who stand for what's right. There were good officers who stood fully in all of the things that I believed I was buying into in the military, the honor and integrity of serving. And there's just enough of them to balance the ones who, for whatever reason, come from that hurtful place.